I personally find it very bizarre that people are still playing World of Warcraft. And it's not necessarily due to the quality of the game, but it's the monetization practice that this game has. Not only do you have to pay a monthly fee in order to play, you also gotta buy the actual expansion pack, which is pretty expensive. But then you have in-game purchases as well, so if you want to change the name of your character, you gotta pay. If you want to change the server of your character, you gotta pay. If you want to change the faction of your character, you gotta pay. Change race, you gotta pay. And they even have like a payment option to level up. In other words, just they realize that the leveling process is boring and tedious. So instead of making it better or more fun, they're like milking their players for extra cash. And the question is, like, why do people put up with it? And the answer is that at the time, World of Warcraft was a genuine cultural phenomenon. Like, it was such an amazing game that it was worth it. I remember when it came out, most games allowed you to play in multiplayer up to 7, maybe 8 people if you were lucky. And if you wanted to do that, you had to go to LAN parties. But here comes World of Warcraft, and you can play with millions of players at the same time. I mean, at the time, that was just not a thing. It was brand new. So, yeah, this is why a lot of people decided to spend money on it on a monthly basis to justify the cost for the servers and whatnot. But then they started adding more and more monetization practices. Basically, if you wanted to change your name or if you wanted to change your server, you had to pay them, as I mentioned. And then they even started adding cosmetic DLC, like that retarded horse, which was $15, if I remember correctly. So adjusted for inflation, it would probably be like 30 or something. But the idea was that people were putting up with this monetization practice that they would never put up in a mobile game, specifically because of the quality of the game. I mean, it's World of Warcraft. You know, everyone plays World of Warcraft. You can't be left out. And people put up with it. But the thing is, gamers have this reputation of not wanting to boycott and being willing to take it. And people put up with it. But I guess gamers have this negative reputation of being willing to take it, being willing to put up with a lot of nonsense, and they won't boycott. But that's not always the case. We're witnessing that a lot of people are leaving World of Warcraft, and I think the actual numbers are worse than they show here. Because we don't get to see the actual number, first and foremost. Like, we don't know how many players there are, it's just that number goes up, right? Line goes up is good. But if you're looking at it here, and you notice that the line goes up with World of Warcraft Classic, and then it goes down again, you gotta take into account that the subscribers for World of Warcraft Classic override with the subscribers for the other expansions, like Shadowlands. So this actually means that the line is probably lower. Like, the line is probably somewhere around here, and just going up a little bit as the new expansion comes out. It's not surprising for many reasons. Number one, the huge drop in quality. I mean, objectively speaking, the game looks old. It's not something that would have come out today. There's many MMOs from South Korea, even MMOs from China, like Genshin Impact, they look better, right? Like, they have better graphics and animations than this game. So the age is showing, and they're not willing to even attempt at making World of Warcraft 2.0, even though I think that would have been a flop as well, due to what the company is becoming. But it's also a drop in story quality. I mean, I was astonished when Blizzard tried to be more inclusive, and you can notice that didn't work, right? Like, it didn't actually brought more people to the table. And by being inclusive, it's like they looked at offensive jokes, they removed it. They looked at offensive flirts, they removed them. They removed art pieces of female characters and replaced them with fruits. I mean, the internet made it a meme out of that, right? And despite doing all of that, it doesn't seem that they got more people. It doesn't seem that they got more players. But the thing that really boggled my brain is when they said that, oh, we're going to get this diversity officer. So it's like this lady of color that's going to supervise the storytelling. And I'm like, okay, well, what did she write? Like, what is her experience? I mean, the company that created World of Warcraft, your writers managed to influence the entire world with their storytelling. Like surely if you're going to get someone that's on top of your writers, like they must have some really good books that they wrote, and the answer is no. Like, she didn't do anything of that. She's just like a complete novice, a person that never wrote anything, but now is going to supervise the artists that actually did write amazing stuff. And imagine how that writer feels. Like, imagine if you're not just the best at your profession, but you're kind of like George R.R. Martin level, because your stories are so popular that everyone in the world knows about them. And you have like this lady that has absolutely no clue. She never wrote anything, and she's now supervising you and telling you what you're allowed and what you're not allowed to write. I mean, even if you're going to stick at that company, it completely robs you of any passion you may have. And it's the same with artists. Like, I spoke with artists that worked at Blizzard, and again, they have these people that never drew anything, that have no experience in the field, coming over and say, yeah, we don't like the jawline of your female character, you need to make it more manly. Yeah, we do not like the aesthetics, tits too big, make them smaller. And it annoys them, it annoys the artist, because they know that their art is good, and what Blizzard wants to put out is mediocre. So that is like one thing, they're losing talent, they're losing the people that could have made the game work, even if the engine is shit. I mean, look at this. You got the Dragonflight expansion. And I, as a person who has been playing World of Warcraft for the first formative years of my life, I looked at the expansion and I said, yeah, this is shit. Like, no one is going to be hyped about it. They had like all these dragons in the trailer flying, and they formed the color of the rainbow, and you know, it's promoting LGBT issues, and the dragons look like furries. I'm not even kidding. Like, it looks like the dragons, instead of looking epic and awesome, they look like a guy in a fursuit. And a lot of people were just saying that they're trying to pander to furries. Which, you know, like World of Warcraft kind of did in the past. Like, the Worgans are very popular with the furry community, but they're done in a very cool and awesome way. Like, it doesn't feel like they're furries. It feels like they're part of the world. It's part of that universe where you have an entire city of Gilneas suffering from lycanthropy, so that kind of makes sense. Like, when they tried it with the pandas and the Mist of Pandaria expansion, it was considered one of the worst expansions simply because of that. So like, now they're trying it again with dragon aspects, and people just aren't having it. And as you can see here, their numbers are failing expectations, and take into account that a lot of these numbers are probably people that are playing the original World of Warcraft that was released, or they're playing the Burning Crusade or the Wrath of the Lich King, which goes to speak volumes about the quality of the product. Like, if you're going to sell a very old game, I mean, World of Warcraft, the classic one, is what, like 15 years old now, probably more, and it manages to outsell your other titles. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's so shameful. Absolutely shameful. And you can notice that now, even when they're releasing Burning Crusade, or even when they're releasing Wrath of the Lich King, it doesn't convince people to go back. Like, it's something, no, like, the game is dying. They did try the new expansion, but yeah. I would love to talk with a World of Warcraft player, like someone that actually plays it regularly, and ask, like, what are you seeing in this game at this point? Like, why are you still playing? What is there for you? Because the story is definitely not as interesting as it used to be. You're paying a monthly subscription. I'm also curious if they're paying extra. You're paying for the expansion as well. You're basically asked to pay for the leveling up, because they know the leveling up is boring and no one actually cares about it. They just want to get it over with, so they play the end game. So why are you spending money on this? And how is this different than a phone game, which is like a gacha game that also tries to milk money from you? But hey, maybe some of you guys can enlighten me in the comment section, and I'll see you all there. Take care.